It's time for Side Scrollers with me, Stuttering Craig. You decide when you lose, not other people. And Blabs.
I like pickles.
And co-hosted by our friends from around the internet. If you like common sense, hit that thumbs up button and, of course, the subscribe button. And join us Monday through Friday live at 11 a.m. Central Time. And now, broadcasting from our homes, it's time for the #1 gaming and entertainment podcast on God's green earth. It's time for Side Scrollers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome on out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com and Twitch.tv and Spotify and everywhere else on the internet. Good to see everybody. How are you? Happy Thursday. It's time for Side Scrollers. It's me, Craig. Good to see you. Hello, everybody. Let's introduce Blabs.
Hello, happy Thursday. I'm excited for this episode today.
Yeah?
Lots of nerd talk. You know me, I like nerds.
We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it good today. We'll get into it good today. That's right. I'm excited to have our guest on today. First time on. First time, long time. Maybe not long time. First time. It's Arch. Hi, Arch.
Hello.
Hello.
Glad you're here.
Happy to be here.
From the other side of the world, which is it's always great to have people from the other side of the world join us in real time, which is the wonders of technology. It's amazing how that works.
It's magical, isn't it?
So, for those who may not be familiar with you, you are a Warhammer creator. You do lore videos on Warhammer.
I do it indeed. I
And,
started out doing Warhammer lore videos, and these days I'm heading a bit more in your direction in the cultural commentary space.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works out, right? And how you look at things that are happening in your hobby, in your things that you love, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, this is different, and I need to talk about it. And then when you talk about it, people are like, "Ree!" Sorry, that's
You
just how
sound
it
like a
happens.
horse.
Well, that's what it sounds like on the internet sometimes.
Yeah.
It sounds like horses. It's crazy. So, anyways, glad everybody's here. Glad you're here, Arch. We'll talk more about your channel in just a little bit, which you guys can find over at Arch YouTube, which is wonderful. We make sure we have the link in the description so you guys can go find all sorts of good stuff there. With that said, I want to remind everybody we are live over at rumble.com/sidescrollers. Do us a favor, hit the follow button over there. Join us in the organic growth with no help from anybody, just us growing. Free speech, love it. We also have a Twitter account at SidescrollerPod, which we encourage you guys to follow. We're going to start treating it more like YouTube and posting all of our content over there here in the next couple months here as we move into 2024. I'm sorry, did I say Twitter? I meant to say X. Sorry.
X gonna give it to you.
We are going to give it to you, truly. And I keep saying Twitter because I look at our run sheet and at the top it says Twitter. And
That's my bad.
it's okay, Blabs. It's okay.
Sorry.
We also have an Instagram account, don't we, Blabs?
We do, and we're actually 2 away from 900. Just 2. So,
2
follow it or I'll bully you.
followers from 900,000 over on Instagram.
No, just 900. That'd be great.
2 away from 900 million followers over on Instagram, which is great. We also have a Kick account, which I encourage you to follow. And if you just want to listen to the show every day, you can find us over on Spotify as well, which, we got a good little niche audience over there. Do us a favor, hit like the if you want to review us over on Spotify, we'd appreciate that. Review us good, real good. Which would be great. 5 stars and stuff. You could also, of course, you guys are watching over on YouTube. If it's your first time popping in, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. We're closing in on 59,000 subscribers, currently sitting at 58,811, growing a little bit more every day in this little common sense nestled little spot of the video game entertainment culture world where we talk about common sense and stuff, which is great. Do us a favor, hit the thumbs up button. And our goal, as always, is 20 channel memberships every single show. Can we do it today? Absolutely. A little bit later on today, coming up at 6:30, Arch, I don't know if you know this. It's a very big day in the video game world because the Game Awards is happening.
Big day indeed.
Are you excited for it?
Honestly, could not be less interested.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, way to hype it up, because later today I'm going to be doing a reaction stream at 6:30 Central Time. I guess there's a pre-show for 30 minutes before they get into all the nonsense, and I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of good stuff. We'll definitely talk about that. So I'll be live over on the obviously the Side Scrollers podcast channel. Because listen, if there's one thing that we do extremely well on this channel, it's hardcore video game talk. That's what we do, nonstop, all the time. So it's good stuff.
Yo, we hit 900 on Instagram. We're at 902, so thank you guys.
902,000 followers over on Instagram.
Totally.
Just great stuff. Congratulations, everybody. But yeah, so join me a little bit later on today, which is great. Let's talk about your channel real quick, Arch, before we get into all of the gaming news and stuff. Tell us about it. Tell us about kind of what you do, what you're known for, and all the fun stuff associated with it.
Well, I've always been a fan of Warhammer for a very long time. Ever since my grandmother bought me a Warhammer Armies book, thinking it was some sort of fun and happy little miniature games about dwarves and stuff. It turned out to be a pinch more violent than that. Perhaps a pinch more violent. My 12-year-old self entirely understood. But I've been covering it pretty much ever since, starting out with Total War Warhammer, which was the big entry into the mainstream for the Warhammer brand. And honestly, that was right around the time when we started seeing the shadows of what is now starting to crush every hobby out there. And I began to move more and more towards that, as I had a tremendous amount of growth to begin with when I was just doing pure Warhammer content. But as the hobby began to change, so did I, because I could see what was beginning to happen to everything. That got me in quite a lot of complications. I was even invited by Creative Assembly, the creators of Total War, to come out to their events for Total War Warhammer. That dried up awfully quickly when I started talking about some of the problems with the game surrounding it.
Okay, I love it. So you're speaking about it, and they didn't like the negative aspect of what you were saying.
Well, I did not like that one bit.
All right.
So I'm still doing the lore today, but I'm almost doing as much on the Archcast channel, where I talk about the culture surrounding it, because it's very important that we actually protect these things that we love. Otherwise, we are not going to have them for long. Judge Dredd.
I think that makes sense.
An absolute comic book legend.
I stopped for a second because I have his channel pulled up, and I Judge Dredd, and I was like, oh,
Dredd, yeah.
There's Arch talking right now. It was not. It was him talking, but on his main channel. Yeah, that's amazing, and I think I think a lot of people in the gaming and entertainment space have seen this, whether it's gaming proper, whether it's console gaming, whether it's comics. You see this, movies, whatever hobby we have, we're seeing this creep of insanity creep into it, which is it's crazy to see how this is all kind of gone. But we're going to dig into that in just a little bit. So now that everybody's a little bit familiar with you,
hear it again.
You hear it. Maybe
no,
it's because you have a window. You have a window pulled up, and you're getting on the delay, Blabs. Way to go, you pro! Awesome.
The Rumble just decided to start playing on me. It doesn't start until like 10 minutes later. Ignore me.
There you go. Love it. Before we get into hard news so today's show, we're going to do a little bit of news, and we're going to spend the second half of the show talking to Arch about his career, his channel, gatekeeping, controversies in the space, and all the fun stuff associated with that. So, but before we do, I want to let you know that check this out. I don't even know how to say this name.
Matej Svezek, I think. Matej.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
yeah,
you would
what
know,
he said.
You would know that because you said you're from where?
Norway, but I would not know that because we don't have those weird letters.
Oh.
We have other weird letters, but not those.
Oh.
Well, look at me just assuming all the wrong things.
Stupid American.
dumb American.
Our weird letter is an A with a dot over it, and the A and the O.
How do you say the A with the dot over it?
Or.
Just or like O-R?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I don't know.
You learn every day.
Every day we're learning a little bit more. It gets us better. Well, thank you so much, Matisvik, which I guess that's how we're gonna say it. Praise the bridge god. Is that you, Arch? Are you the bridge god?
The bridge god is an invention of mine, yes.
Excellent. Well, now we know. Oh, I know how to say this. Bjorn came in as a member for 3 months. Thank you for all that you guys do. Hope everyone has a good rest of their day. Hey, thank you so much, Bjorn. Appreciate that. And Humble Dirt Merchant wants to know if you can name all 40,000 Warhammers.
There's 40,000 of them?
Well, It's Warhammer 40K, right? It's not Warhammer 39,972.
Well,
Although there is a Warhammer 30K.
Oh,
Ha!
I don't know. Well, can you name all 30K of them? What is that a reference to? Is that a reference to actual 40,000 Warhammers and 30,000 Warhammers?
It's the year it's set in, the 41st millennium, or year 40,000.
Suck it, humble dirt merchant. You can't name them all because it's impossible. It's a year. Abdulio came in, says, good morning to the Side Strollers crew and welcome, Arch. Glad to see you on here. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, man. Let's get into it. I'm excited for today's show. I'm glad everybody's here. Do us a favor. Once again, hit the thumbs up button. Scroll your little mouse over there. Hit that. And do us a favor. Put a comment down below. Not just a chat. Chat's great, but a comment up below in the feed, because comments are like, I don't know, it's like YouTube superfood for some reason. They really like comments and engagement. It's crazy how that works out. Well, let's get into it. It's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody in the world's favorite segment. It's time for hard news. Hard news. All right, let's go. Okay, we talked about it before. Tonight is the big day. It's the Game Awards. It's when all the game industry converges on Los Angeles and they all circle jerk each other, talking about how great they are. It is time to celebrate the wonders. And we talked about this a couple days ago. There have been a few things that have leaked out about the Game Awards, specifically from a production standpoint. And Jeff Keighley, the host and executive producer of the Game Awards, has said this year there will be much more security because in the past, there have been, I don't know, what's the proper word for this, Blabs?
An interruption?
Yes, interruptions, for sure. Arch, have you seen the interruptions that have taken place at the Game Awards?
Briefly, yes. It was talked about quite a lot when it happened. I can't remember the name of the guy, but the guy
No
that
one ever
bombed the Elden Rings award. Was it?
Yeah. I think it was during the Elden Ring Awards when he was like, Bill Clinton.
It was.
Yes, I would like to thank my rabbi, Bill Clinton.
Yes, last year.
Orthodox rabbi.
Yes, last year, if you recall, this is what happened. He was actually on. What's the most fascinating thing about this was this kid, like while these developers are giving their speech, he just walked up there and he's hanging out behind him. This is what happened last year.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Claps too.
And to be clear, these four guys belong. This guy's just hanging out in the back doing nothing. And these four guys don't say anything to him. They're not like, who the hell are you, right?
Well, the Japanese, they're automatically pleasant, and they probably think he's part of the show or something.
I mean, maybe, yeah. Well, they finish up, they give their wave, and then this happens. They're getting played off.
Hey, Matan. Real quick, I want to thank everybody and say that I think I want to nominate this award to my Reformed Orthodox Rabbi, Bill Clinton. Thank you, everybody.
It's like, what? So I love that they turn the music down so he can continue to speak. If you listen, they turn the music on to play him off, and then he pops up.
Real quick, I want to thank everybody and say that I think I want to nominate.
And the executive producers in the back's like, let's bring the music down. He's got something important to say.
Right? There's so much going on in this scene because if you look also, like the guys behind him who actually won the award, they're like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, who is this guy? They're like, huh? And then you slowly see like the security guards walking nonchalantly on stage, like, oh, everything's fine. It's all good. But yeah, this was the highlight of the Game Awards. That's how shitty the Game Awards are. No one actually cares except for the kid who's like Orthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton.
Well, this is the face of regret.
Yeah,
right
so
here.
who are you?
You can see the reflection of sadness that is happening in real time. So that was like the highlight of last year. So Arch, now you're caught up, which is great. But there was a promo for the Game Awards that was put up on X about promoting the show tonight. And sure enough, the guy, I guess his name is Matan Evan.
Matan something.
He just, with 4 simple words, he has piqued everyone's interest in the Game Awards again tonight. See you tomorrow, Jeff. And his tweet has 55,000 likes on it.
I was one of them. I retweeted that. I was like, yes. Imagine if the Game Awards actually made a joke with it and they invited him back to say something. How funny would that be? They actually embrace it and be like, yeah, you want to come on? Sure, you want to say something? Okay, cool.
That would
never
require
happened.
far too much humility on their part.
That's true.
Right. It's almost like they'd have to remove the sticks out of their ass to be able to accept the joke and embrace it. I think that'd be really good. You know, they should start the show. This is how I do it. I would start the show with this dude on stage, literally on stage, and have Jeff come up and have Jeff Keighley interrupt him and have him thank his Greek Orthodox Jew, Bill Clinton, whatever, and just totally meme the shit out of it, and everyone laughs and they move on.
I mean, this is a PR coup. If only they would embrace it.
1,000%. I go back to a long time, 20 years ago. I worked as I say MC, a master of ceremonies, not like a rapper MC, but like, you know, your corporate MC guy who's on stage with the microphone, introducing people and stuff. And I did this. One of the most valuable things that I learned is like, if you mess up on stage, you own it. You own it. Otherwise, because everybody else knows you messed up. Everybody does. So if you just own it on stage, be like, I suck, then everybody can laugh, move on, or whatever. That's what needs to happen here is you own it, you embrace it, you say, well, we suck, you know, that was funny. That's funny. Sorry, you know, and you move on. Like this guy is doing so much for the Game Awards as far as piquing interest.
The issue is they want to be a serious award show. They want to be the Oscars. They want to be the Emmys. Like, you're not going to be these things. You don't have the gravitas. You don't have the weight. You don't have the industry weight. You are going to be an award for gamers, so might as well embrace what gamers want from you.
Dude, nailed it.
Laugh and have fun. Yeah.
Right. Like, it doesn't need to be, you know, Spike TV, you know, or anything like that from, you know, back in the day. I don't know if you understand that reference, Arch. We had a channel back in the day called Spike TV on U.S. television, which was very like, you know, sup, bro? You know, it doesn't need to be like Doritos and Mountain Dew, right? It doesn't, but it also doesn't need to be like cheese and caviar. There needs to be a balance between the two, because guess what? Gamers are just like normal people.
Well, the thing is, we have our culture. The Emmys, the Oscars, that's their culture. We don't need to ape that. We have our own.
There's I think the award itself of the Game Awards is a beautiful award. Like it's very classy. I think it looks very, very sharp. With that said, and I do like the idea of, it is fun to get dressed up every once in a while, put on a suit and tie, right? But at the same time, you don't need to take yourself so seriously. I mean, once again, these are games at the end of the day. And I know people will argue, well, no, they're art. They're art. It's like, okay, you know, one person's game is another person's art. But I just think that there is a giant stick in the butt of the video game space. And events like this truly help shove it further up its own ass.
Yes.
So, yeah. And I honestly feel like there's way more people that are not so far into it. Like, who watches the Oscars anymore, right?
Nobody.
Nobody
really.
watches the
viewerships are down.
Right.
Nobody cares because all they do is preach to them. So if they're gonna preach here too, no one's gonna tune in.
Okay. How long? That's the next question. How long before we get some sort of message in either a segment on the show, an acceptance speech, some sort of, DEI initiative, some sort of I don't know. How long into the show? Like, legitimate?
Probably 2 minutes.
I don't think it's that early, right?
Well,
But-
I mean, they snubbed Hogwarts Legacy, right? They'll probably say, "Oh, here
Well, hold
we're all
on.
about inclusion."
Hold on. When you say snubbed Hogwarts Legacy,
People
what does that mean?
say that they snubbed Hogwarts Legacy for any category. It's not been nominated for any category for the Game Awards.
But hold on, Blabs, you said the game's not even good. You didn't even like it.
That's my opinion, right? That's my personal opinion. People love the game. It did well until, it dropped off in a month because it has zero replayability. But people loved it for really, the open world, the animation, stuff like that. And I can see where some people went with that. So when you're like, you snubbed it because of the whole J.K. Rowling transphobe thing, they'll probably talk about how these games were all inclusive and blah, blah, blah.
There will be Man, that's a great game to play. How long? Like a bingo card. Is there a Game Awards bingo card that we can maybe create before? I'm gonna work on that between now and the start of it. I'm gonna create a Game Awards bingo card.
You know what? Actually, you should keep track of every single game that wins an award tonight and see if they're correlated with Sweet Baby Inc.
Oh man, that's crazy. Arch, are you familiar with Sweet Baby Inc. at all?
Just a little bit, in that they are one of several consultant companies that have been brought in by developers and even hobbies, I think, to rough out the rough edges and make them more welcoming to a broader audience.
When you say things like that with your lovable accent, it sounds so
it's
much
very
better.
Radio, nice.
So much better. It's so much better
Well,
than
the thing
us.
is, this has always been like a thing, the push for the broader audience, right? I remember this from back in the 2000s. Everybody just kind of rolled their eyes and yeah. And we thought they would just make like the games easier or something.
Right.
But no, they took a few steps further than that.
They have, and they did, and they will continue to until you say no, which is crazy. So anyways, the Game Awards tonight. Come play the Game Awards bingo with us tonight as I watch along and see how long it takes before we get some sort of the message. So I like that that's become a thing. Some sort of the message. That's just the way you say it, which is great. Hey, Nathan came in as a brand new member for 6 months. Says this show is so rad. Love it. Hey, thanks, Nathan. Appreciate that. We also have a brand new member. His name is Richard Maximus. Thank you, Richard. That's Dick Maximus. Thanks, Dick. Appreciate that. Dick Maximus. Let's go.
That means he's well endowed. Good for you, bro.
Good for you, Dick. Humble Dirt Merchant says, you can't tell me to suck it, Craig. You suck on this, you lovable goof. And I'm not going to read your generic speak. That's probably, that. Have you guys ever developed a website or anything like that before?
No.
That's like placeholder text that Humble Dirt Merchant put down there. So I'm not going to read that nonsense because that's just placeholder bullshit. Thank you, Humble Dirt Merchant. I will not. Jack came in, says, Hail Arch Christ, our Lord and Savior, and breed blabs. What? I don't even know what that means. Hi,
Am I
Craig.
a dog?
Yeah, it's very awkward, Jack. Thanks for that. Appreciate that. And Shield Wall the Dragons came in as a member for 1 month. Says gaming entertainment started to decline with the abolition of the booth babe or abolition. I can't speak very well. What is that word? What is that damn word?
Abolition.
Abolition?
Is it abolition? Okay.
Yes.
Abolition. Okay.
There's
abolition.
a reason his name's stuttering, okay?
No. It's changed my name to Can't Read Good Craig.
Oh.
There we go. That was the first domino to fall. Yeah, that was 2006, right as Screw Attack was coming to be. I remember when they were like, the booth babes can't be in E3. Arch, did you ever watch or go to E3 ever?
Didn't go to it. Wanted to back in the day. Has no interest now. But he actually does have a point because the booth babes were just fun, right? You have an audience overwhelmingly male, and so you're going to do something that probably appeals to the overwhelmingly male audience. Okay. As far as I know, the booth babes were not abused in this. They did it voluntarily, and it was just an amusing thing, right? An extra adage onto it all to have it all be with an atmosphere of levity, because that is what it is. The booth babes are an in-joke as much as they are thirst trap, I guess.
Look, booth babes were just your e-thoughts before the internet had e-thoughts, right? That's the reality of it. And in an industry that is dominated by males or male video game players, and people will say, no, they're not. Yeah, guess what? Dudes are the ones buying the video games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it only makes sense to line up girls in skimpy outfits and short shorts because here's the reality of it. Guys like boobs.
Oh, I have something for you. Hang on.
Oh,
Where is it? Let's see. Aha.
Titties.
that's right.
Titties.
Correct.
Razor nose. Absolutely. and to think that you see these white knight video game, devs who are like, yes, we're so much better than that now. It's fuck off. You still use your dick. It's so stupid.
You don't deserve a penis.
No, I mean, come on. Like these idiots, they all get up on their high and mighty bullshit. And look at, here we go. Look at this. Hey, check this out. Let's do a little bit of canceling here for our friends over at Rooster Teeth and Achievement Hunter, who put together a booth babes of E3 2011. They just went in and made a montage of them, right? Cancel them, these sexist pigs. Sorry. I can go on this all. It's ridiculous. This is a decade ago, and now people are like, they're so bad. Can't show cleavage. Anyway, sorry. Enough of that. I apologize for going off on a little rant there.
Titties.
That's right. Nail it. Oh my god. Okay. Xano says, "Hail, Lord Inquisitor Arch, the bulwark of what bulwark? Arch, what am I saying wrong here? What is that word? Okay.
Bulwark.
Bulwark.
You don't pronounce the A because it's English and it's a dumb language.
Of gatekeeping. Can't wait for tomorrow's lore video.
He's got a fair point about the dumb language.
Yeah, we all know that English is dumb language spoken by dumb people like myself. Cody A says, Gracier. Listen, keep throwing out these like this Warhammer. I'm guessing that's
Craig
Gracier.
feels so stupid today.
Gracier.
I'm going to go home and rethink my life.
Ridiculously dumb. I am so ridiculously dumb. I'm so out of my element today. Like, how is Bone Ripper Kibbs? What is this?
Well, much like the real Bone Ripper, presumably deceased and reanimated several times.
Huh?
I love it. I love everything about this show today. This is great. Oh my god. Dr. Dogwater TV came in and says Arch has a great narrative voice. He could read Christmas stories and I'd be enthralled.
It's true. You have a great radio voice.
You ever thought about doing some narration for Christmas stories?
Not for Christmas stories, no. Not immediately.
Hey, I think that sounds good. Sounds good. Professor Plague Bat says DEI bingo sounds lame. DEI drinking game instead. Really, give it within the first 5 to 10 minutes when they start spewing their nonsense. Yeah.
If Craig did a drinking game, after 5 minutes of the stupidity of the Game Awards, he'd probably be under the table.
I'd be down and out so quick. It's ridiculous. Anyways, Game Awards stream tonight. I want everyone to be here 6:30 Central Time. That is in roughly 7 hours.
On the main channel, right? Not playing.
Yes, on this channel that you're watching right now. I will be live for sure. Oh my goodness. Lieutenant Silver says, now Craig, don't lump booth babes and models in with e-thoughts. Well, it was just a general statement. Like sometimes I make general statements and people take them way too seriously. So
see, I'll agree here, okay? I will defend the booth babes. I do not describe the same amount of malicious intent to them as I do the e-thoughts.
I agree. Yeah, it's just a general statement. But yeah, I agree. Yes. Listen, sometimes you just have to dress up in skin-tight shirts and short shirts and make $50 an hour. That's something that you just have to do in life, especially in your early 20s.
Do that?
I said sometimes you do. Blabs. And
Did you do that whilst washing cars?
Don't hold me to my listen, everyone's made mistakes, Blabs. All right, let's move on to our next story here. Nintendo. This is a very interesting story, and I can't imagine like people aren't really talking about this, which is kind of crazy. But Nintendo has planned several events over in Japan, some esports events, one for Splatoon and I think Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, Splatoon and Mario Kart. They're going to do an event called Nintendo Live 2024 in Tokyo. And they have postponed the event, straight up, canceling the event, canceling, whatever. They have canceled this Japanese esports events following threats to staffs and spectators. This is from IGN. Which is really interesting considering this event was going to take place in Japan. And when you think of like, quote unquote, toxic fandoms, you don't think of Japan as being a place for toxic fandoms, or maybe they are. I don't know. But a Japanese press release was put out, and it said that revealed that the all ages celebration of Nintendo Fun has been canceled and its main esports tournament is postponed. Nintendo said its employees have received relentless threats, which have recently targeted spectators, attendees, and staff at Nintendo Live 2024, forcing the cancellation in the interest of safety. It was set to take place in January. So that's kind of crazy. They didn't give any.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did we know what like the threats were or anything? Were they just like, "Oh, I hate your dog," or was it like actual real stuff?
Right. No, there's no reference to any of what the actual threats were. And I got to be honest, like, what are you threatening Nintendo about? I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. You're talking about a family-friendly event with Splatoon and Mario Kart.
Is there maybe somebody was being threatened and they just decide to make the entire thing like security?
Arch,
That makes sense.
Arch, your thoughts on this?
Only thing that springs to mind is that the trial against the KyoAni arson is currently ongoing, so they might have something to do with that.
What is this? I don't know what this is. What are you talking about?
Kyoto Animations, an animation studio that made anime over in Japan.
Oh, the
it had a
fire!
crazy
Yes,
person set fire to the building, and I think
crazy.
killed a couple of employees.
Yes.
The trial just started for that, so I don't know.
Maybe.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Very
this was a couple of months ago, wasn't it? Or like even a year ago at this point.
Yeah, the fire. That's got to be a while ago now, surely.
Yeah. At least a year, I think, at this point. Yeah, it was kind of big. I remember listening to it a couple months ago about it. Wild stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the only thing I can think of. It doesn't really correlate, but
Yeah, that's an interesting parallel for sure. Yeah, Tor says 32 dead, 36 dead, 32 injured, 30 years of original source anime gone. Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Yeah, and wondering if maybe they're afraid of a copycat incident.
You know
Which-
what? That I would be
Possibly.
if that was going on right now with everything going on in the world. People are batshit crazy.
yeah, because the guy has received a ton of media exposure over it. So
Oh yeah.
Wow. I mean, that would make sense. That's kind of why you say, over here in the States, they don't repeat the name of like, of your mass shooters or whatever, or people who do really bad things. The idea of avoiding copycat incidents. With that said, at least I don't traditionally think of people in Japan as being batshit crazy.
No, they're more sane, aren't they?
well.
Wait,
tell
Arch
me,
disagrees.
tell me more, Arch.
I don't know how in depth your knowledge is about the Second World War and the Japanese.
Well, okay. Let me say this. In my limited experience of going to Japan, the people of Japan, and I guess you could say this about it's once again a very small sliver. Japan was like a totally different world than living in the United States. Just drastically different. I felt like people were polite. They may have been scared of me because I was like a foot taller than everybody, right? But everyone was extremely polite. Everyone, like, one of the most stupid things about their society, which I wish people would bring over to the United States, everyone stayed on the proper side of the road, the aisle, the walkway, whatever. People stayed on the right that needed to be on the right. They stayed on the left that needed to be on the left. It was strictly like a respect thing. And I love that. I thought that was really how it should be, right? Whereas if you walk in the United States, it's just a big old mass of bullshit everywhere, and people are all trying to get everywhere they need to go because it's all about them.
Oh yeah, the Japanese are very polite people, but they are also batshit insane.
There's a lot of kink in Japan. I know that. There's
a lot worse
The
than
spas
kink.
and stuff.
Have you heard about a certain thing called Unit 731?
I will not be Googling that because I fear that my browser history will be. But tell me more.
To put it swiftly, we know the Germans were pretty bad. The Japanese makes the German look like absolute children in comparison. Their biological experiment unit conducted experiments on Chinese citizens that would be considered mildly unethical by even German standards.
Oh.
So there is also have you seen the meme picture about how Japan removed communism with the guy with the knife?
No, I haven't. No. Well, that's crazy as shit. So
Japan
you're
has
saying
a very aggressive history.
So you're saying that the canceling of an event isn't that odd in Japan?
There's also a culture of very, very zealous fans, so I can see it if they offended them in some way with a new
Wow.
Splatoon or something. The
We-
Japanese tend to be very passionate about the things they like.
Yeah, that is
Yes,
true.
I've heard that a lot.
That is true. Well, I'll tell you, someone is apparently very passionate about stopping Nintendo events with Splatoon and Mario Kart.
Apparently.
Like, fuck you, Luigi. So, anyways, I guess we'll look out for that. Sorry, Japan, you got boned. I think they did have an event in Seattle not too long ago. I think it was called Nintendo Live Seattle or something. 2023. So, and that went off and nobody really talked about it, but I'm sure it did great numbers for them and all that. So, anyways, there you go. All right, let's move on to another quick story here. Did you see the GTA 6 trailer, Arch?
I did indeed.
What are your thoughts on it?
I thought it looked pretty good. I dread the day they'll try to release this on consoles because I think it'll melt half of them. But it looked good. I didn't see any overt signs of politicking either. It seemed to just be Florida craziness and filled with a lot of references to Florida craziness. Graphics looks amazing. Oddly enough, and I don't say this often, but I was particularly impressed by the twerking.
Really? Tell me more.
Yes.
Why? What was it about the twerking that really got you twerking in a good way?
Well, I used to study 3D design, and I know that getting a model to move like that is really, really fucking hard.
They really went into the twerking a little details.
Yes. So I'm just imagining the
butt ripples.
Yes, as ridiculous as it is, that is difficult. So I'm hoping that indicates a greater level of, quality rather than just the shaky butts.
Like a bowl full of jelly. That's right. Love that. Well, that's great. Great to hear they're doing wonderful things with 3D technology, Arch. That's amazing to see. But there were a lot of references in the GTA 6 trailer to modern day, social media memes. We saw there's a lot of Florida man stuff. The lady with the two hammers, the guy working on his yard in a, pretty much naked, the girl twerking on top of the car, right? And the guy with the mugshot with the crazy tattooed face. And that was a reference to a guy, the Joker, who went viral in 2017. I don't remember seeing this back then, but this is a guy and he's still alive. I guess he put out a TikTok after seeing this. And he says, a man who believes he's been parodied by GTA 6 trailer has addressed the similarities between himself and the in-game character. I don't understand, like, a man who believes, yes, it's like 100% the guy has been parodied. If you see the side-by-side of this guy compared to this guy, it's insane. It's insane. But he says at a point during the GTA 6 trailer, a man with face tattoos can be seen in a police broadcast implying that he's been arrested. Some Twitter users took to this to parody of Lawrence Sullivan, a man who gained widespread attention back in 2017 from his mugshot, going on to be dubbed Florida Joker thanks to his extensive facial tattoos and green hair, which we'll pull up a picture of that in a little bit. Anyways, he put out a TikTok. And by the way, this article had the TikTok in it anymore. I think they removed it. Vlad, see if you can pull up his TikTok real quick. See if you can find it real quick. Because I think it's important that you need to see this guy today and he sounds totally burnt out in his TikTok, which one would expect from a man who has facial tattoos to this extent. And you'd see it. But he says, you might have seen the character in GTA 6 in the trailer today. They got that character with the face tattoos. GTA, we gotta talk, right? And generally, when you see any sort of video game reference, there's always some sort of disclaimer at the end of the video game, or maybe a movie that says any reference to a person living or fake is extreme. It's all coincidence, right? And it's like yeah. In this case, I would have to disagree. I would have to disagree that it's very much built on something, especially given the number of real life incidences here. Do you think that and I realize, Arch, that laws may be different, are drastically different where you live compared to us. But do you think that this guy has any leg to stand on when it comes to, I don't know, putting pressure on GTA to possibly remove the reference to him and his court case in their game?
No, because there's already precedence around a case like this. Lindsay Lohan, the very much so has-been actor, attempted to sue Grand Theft Auto, Rockstar more correctly, for a similar incident, GTA 5, where she claimed to be the hot blonde chick on the cover, and that was shot down because you can't really copyright that. And even this one, it's transformative enough where you can go like, do you have the ownership of facial tattoos, sir? No? Okay, well then. Out of course it goes.
Right. I have it pulled
you're,
up
like,
over here.
underwater for a second, but I can't seem to find a video of him. It's all leading me to TikTok, and I can't watch TikTok videos since I don't have an account.
Well, let me here we go. I do have it pulled up, and this guy is amazing. Like, this guy has committed to his bit, and let me just show you this guy's face. Like,
I saw that. He's scary.
he has committed, man. This guy was really moved by Heath Ledger in the Batman movie. But here's the video.
Boy, Joker, Gang 305, Raw Sequel Line, Florida Joker, Miami Joker. You might have seen that character on GTA 6. Just dropped the trailer today. You know they got that character with the face tattoos. You know who they got that inspired by? By me. Just look me up. Florida Joker, Miami Joker. You know what I'm talking about. GTA, we at the top.
So there it is.
Gang 305.
I'm sorry, I can't get over this guy's tattoos. This is crazy. I mean,
Man,
absolutely
he
amazing.
needs some psychiatric help.
Hence the Joker aspect of things.
GTA 6.
Sorry, like,
Oh,
look at these. Look at everything. At what point do you say, "Listen, man"? You walk into a tattoo parlor and say, "Listen, I really want you to put Joker on my forehead." At what point have you just kind of given up on life? I don't know. It's amazing. So, but you are right. You are right, Arch. There has been a case, the Lindsay Lohan case back in the day, and I thought that you said it was thrown out. The court ruled in question. So it was simply a, quote, generic young woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Which you can go back to that case and you wonder, you know, when a case like that happens and it sets precedent moving ahead, you wonder how much, I don't know, just how much pressure was put on Take-Two and Rockstar at the time of, maybe, I don't know if it was a judge or the jury or whoever, how much Take-Two put on them to kind of make that ruling. You know, these are big corporations because that's a slippery slope. When you say, well, that person looked like Lindsay Lohan. Oh, no. It looked like a generic young lady. You could see the floodgates opening with all sorts of references in video games over the years, or any media over the years, where people say, no, that's definitely not coincidental. That definitely looks like me. And I don't understand how in a situation like this with this guy, that is clearly, like, it's clearly a reference to that guy. I mean, it's bizarrely referenced. I just don't understand how people can say, no, that's definitely not a reference to that guy. When you look at them like side by side, I mean, like, come on, get out of here. It's just crazy. Anyways.
It might be a reference, but references are not illegal.
That's true. This is true. This is absolutely true.
There was there was another example of this, which jumped into my mind and then immediately jumped back out again.
Welcome to Side Scrollers. While you pull that up,
Move on.
I'll let you know
maybe I'll come up with it.
That's okay. Gary's beard crab says Blabs is obviously Slaanesh. I don't even know what
Slaanesh.
Okay, good. I almost got it. Slaanesh. But what Chaos God is Craig. Hail the 199, the Fellowship, and Banjay. I will never Banjay.
Who's Slaanesh?
Yeah, what is that?
Well, the god of wild orgies and or murder, depending on.
Oh,
Often combined.
Orgies and murder. Put it.
Yes.
Change your name, Blabs.
No thanks, I'm good. I'll keep it as bully.
Chris says the booth babe thing was puritanical hypocrisy. It was sold as feminism, but the women actually impacted by it were deprived of a reliable job / income. Of course.
Yes. It's the same thing that was going on with the short people in Disney's Snow White, where they wanted to make them not the 7 dwarfs, but the 7 magical creatures.
Yes.
Because it was ableist or something, and the short people themselves were like, "Okay, you just deprived us of work, so thank you for that."
Yeah, it's amazing how that works out. It goes, it fits this absolutely flawlessly.
There's a problem that has nothing to do with me. I need to solve it.
Right? That's the quintessential society today, 100%. Wolfsbane came in and says booth babes were destroyed because mid/ugly women hated the success of hot women. I remember that streamer that paints her tatas threatening a dancer.
So true. All the presenters nowadays too are like at these showcases. They're all mid bitches. All of them. Bring back the hot babes, and you will bring back more gamers. Done.
Blabs, you can say that. I can't say that. I certainly.
Why not? You can't say bring back the hot babes.
Well, let me tell you what I certainly won't say. I certainly won't say that all presenters at award shows are mid bitches. I'm definitely not going to say that. Blabs, only you can say that all presenters at award shows are mid bitches. Let me just say 100%. I can't say all presenters at award shows are mid bitches. Mid bitches.
Why? Why can't you say that? You just, I mean,
what?
listen.
I would never say that.
This is going right over my head like our whoosh, but like I don't understand. You just listen, just edit it out. Just say the word I can. Is that what we're going for?
That was the whole point, Blabs.
All right, so here we go. Anyway, listen, guys. All presenters are bitches.
There we go. Anyways, but I would never say that, Blabs. I don't even know what this is. What Arch, can you read, please?
That's Norwegian. Roughly translated, it's not the speed that kills you; it's the sudden stop.
Ah, nice. I like the rough translation. And what is the name? Toa Idar?
That is a reference to something else. It's not Norwegian, at least.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate that. I don't crazy languages. And if you guys want to super chat crazy languages to me, I mean, like I only know 2 languages. So do you
you can barely speak one. What do you mean 2?
Well, when I say no, I use that very loosely. Come on, what are we talking about? I don't know.
What's your second language?
A little Spanish. I can speak a little Spanish. I'm right down here by Mexico. I gotta be able to speak a little Espanol. Mm-hmm. Arch, can you speak any? Obviously, you can probably speak Norwegian. Yeah,
I can speak 2 at least.
Jesus Christ, Craig.
Well, no, I'm
slow. Chat's saying I'm slow for that, but you're like, hey, Arch, can you speak more than one language?
I was about to say more than 2, Blabs. All right, I caught myself. Can you speak American?
Norwegian, English, and I speak Japanese relatively well.
Really?
After being a massive Weeb fan for many years.
Nice. Love that. Humble Dirt Merchant says Craig would be.
I'm not gonna help you.
I love it. He's like on your island. There you go. Get on your island, you idiot. Zinch.
Yeah, that's pretty correct.
The T is silent. Let's go. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Humble Dirt Merchant. Sun Wuku came in as a brand new member. Appreciate that. Son, appreciate it. And Cesario came in with a 5. Says, thank Fates Japan at least held on to their booth babes and grid girls / race queens. Bless them.
That is still a thing over there, yeah.
Because guess what? Dudes like boobs. I will say that. And I'll say that forever.
Breaking news since, Jesus rode the dinosaur.
That's good stuff. It's true. Dude came in with the 1 over on Rumble. Says, let's just say we know so much about frostbite, STDs, and what we don't know, what we don't need our stomach because of Unit 731. I don't even know what this whole Unit 731 thing. This is the first time I've ever heard reference to this, like ever. And I am scared to look it up. As a matter of fact, I don't think I will look it up. So
I shan't give you the highlights because I think several of them are not allowed on YouTube.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, let's move on to another story real quick, and just a real quick hit before we get into your story, Arch, which I'm very excited to talk about. Let's go to. Should we go to Elon Musk or should we go to the OnlyFans thing? Arch, you get to pick. Elon Musk or OnlyFans girl?
Well, as tempting as OnlyFans is, of course, I think I'm gayer for Elon than I am for the average ethot.
All right, let's go. Gay for Elon. Let's go. All right. So over the last last week or so, we saw the now infamous interview that Elon Musk had where he came out and was more or less throwing flamethrowers at advertisers who were threatening him to, more or less threatening him with not putting their money on his platform. And Elon Musk came out with this famous line.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is.
And then yes, Arch.
Oh, beautiful. That's all. Only
chef's kiss right there. And then he followed it up with a simple message to the CEO of Disney.
Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
Just letting him know that was definitely directed at Disney and Bob Iger. And he's been very critical because Disney has pulled their advertising from X in a statement saying, hey, this is just not the right platform for us to reach our audience. And they're not fans of some of the things that are being said on X, and they will not stand for that. They do not want this thing. They do not want Disney messaging to be promoted on X at all. This family-friendly company of Disney, and they refuse to be around such filth. But today, as pointed out, very interesting story as a platform, multiple platforms that Disney advertises on, Instagram and Facebook, have content. And once again, this is the most obvious statement in the world. Facebook and Instagram content enable child sexual abuse trafficking, according to a New Mexico lawsuit, which, once again, you can find all this information from X. And the question was asked why are advertisers still on Facebook and Instagram, but have such a massive problem with X? And now Elon is very much opening up, just slowly turning on his flamethrower once again, and maybe just putting some gasoline into it, and has lit the flame once again as he's curious with this tweet, throwing it out there. Says, yeah, why does their chief marketing officers endorse child trafficking? Let's ask them. And that's just the general thought process. And he kind of is putting Disney back in the corner, exposing their hypocrisy once again. Arch, your thoughts on the obvious hypocrisy here?
Well, the question is obvious. It's because Disney doesn't care about child trafficking. That's not their agenda. If it was, they would not be on Facebook. We know for a fact there is child naughtiness to try and avoid the YouTubes over there. We know that. We know it's on Instagram. We've seen this repeatedly. Twitter is the only platform that seems to have taken some serious steps against this, hiring people specifically to crack down on this. This is because Twitter does not bend the knee to their politics. It has nothing to do with the child part, which is tragic because I would like for Disney to be like, yeah, no, we're actually against child trafficking. You would like to think that they would take a pretty serious stand as a company that has said they are, family friendly, they produce family friendly content, and especially content that is aimed towards children. Seems like a fairly morally stable position to take. Right? What is this moral thing you think about when you come to these crazy companies? I for one, we have a host on the show, Adam Krigler, and he talks about like ESG money and all this stuff. And I've always kind of looked at that as like, is that really happening? But then you see kind of the stances that these companies are taking, and you got to start asking yourself, like, this has to be real, right? Like this money that is being funneled into their company and for specific messaging, it's amazing to think about. I mean, they I'll put it here in the little chat thingy. Disney has a dedicated ESG page. Oh, yeah, this is absolutely happening. Wow.
Okay, yeah, this is a real thing. Let's take a look at this.
Whoa.
They're not trying to hide it, or well, they're not publicly announcing it either, because ESG has a very negative reputation these days. But yeah, no, this is very much so real.
This is under the Disney social responsibility. I got to be honest. Why does any company have social responsibility? Like, when did this become a thing where companies were like, we have a social responsibility to make sure the world is a better place? No, you have a social responsibility to show me a princess story, and for that princess to do something fun and have a fun adventure, and for me to enjoy and escape reality. What the hell? I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. And by the way, this is going back to 2017. Wow. If you really think about it, I mean, this is my first time seeing this right here. Going back to 2017, this is kind of when all this started. 2017, right after. I think there's a direct correlation between this, which is insane to me. Wow, I've never seen this before, and this is crazy. So you see, what does Disney have to do with climate change? Why do they have a climate change report?
The only thing Disney should be doing is making sure that they're releasing products that people want. And if you want to do climate, sure, make it that you're doing an efficient / green way of producing. Therefore, you're trying to produce less waste as possible while making stuff. Okay, you could totally be like that. Like, we're trying to limit on how we do stuff. We're gonna go for the most environmentally friendly way. Whatever, sure. But you don't have to have all this other bullshit entwined to just get extra money.
I'd like to point out the bottom one there too. So this is Disney, right? An American company. And the bottom there, you will see UK gender wage gap report.
Why?
UK modern slavery statement. Like,
They need to point out that Disney is actually anti-slavery. Thank you.
Well, that's good to know. Congratulations.
Even though they thanked the Chinese concentration camps for Milan.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. So you look at the following documents reflect many of our public ESG related policies and approaches. So they have so many documents that they have a filtering system, right? They have animal welfare, community, content. I don't even know. What's CSR? What is it?
CSR stands for corporate social responsibility.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Indeed.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion, environment and conservation, governance, health and safety, human capital management and employees, human rights, and supply chain. What does it say about content? That's what I want to know. That's really all I care about from Disney is anti-piracy, live animals and entertainment policy, our stories and characters, smoking and movies. Oh, can't do that anymore because that's bad. Well, wow. I had no idea this existed, which is crazy.
This is like a rabbit hole. Thanks, Arch.
Yeah, man.
You're very welcome.
You want to see what they have to say about their characters? Let's find out, because this is my first time saying this. Our characters. For nearly 100 years, the Walt Disney Company has been home to some of the world's most beloved characters and cherished stories. P.S. We're going to change all of them.
Until today.
Disney holds a special place in the hearts of millions of people because our themes and characters are universal, relatable, and relative to everyone.
And
they have been. Yeah.
I would just add in past tense on all of that, because the very next sentence.
Our brand strive to be inclusive with stories that reflect acceptance and tolerance and celebrate the differences that make our characters uniquely wonderful in their own way. We aim to create and share compelling storylines with our studios and media networks to entertain with inspirational and aspirational themes and reflect the incredibly rich diversity of the human experience with cultural authenticity. Our stories are timeless because they speak to the heart. Our characters appeal to individuals across gender, identity, ability, and experience because they're defined by kindness, loyalty, humor, courage, wit, and other distinguished traits. Disney remains committed to creating stories and characters that are accessible and relatable to all.
Yeah, but then no, bullshit, because look at this. They have a Black Talent Network, Women's Talent Network for Asian American Pacific Islanders, Women's Talent Network for Latina talent. So they're excluding all men. They're excluding men of those ethnicities. It's very interesting. Where are the Italians at? I'm just saying.
Wow. Well,
where are the white men at? I'm just saying. So for everyone except everyone.
This is a legit question. Would Walt Disney be able to get a job at Disney today?
Probably not.
No.
Not unless he claimed to be 1/16th Cherokee, I guess.
Oh my gosh, that is insane. I want to go to ChatGPT and just see if it can make a generic statement about Walt Disney's, like make a generic
policy.
Yeah, here, let me do this real quick. Write a generic statement about the Walt Disney Company's, let's see, the Walt Disney Company characters and stories include messaging about inclusiveness. There we go. This is crazy. Like and here's the thing. I've been in these corporate bullshit meetings where they're like, we need to make a mission statement. And it takes 2 weeks to make a stupid mission statement that's like 5 words long, right? Because everyone's overthinking everything. Everything gets overthinking. Well, this word means this. This word implies this. And I know that I'm not alone in being a part of these meetings. To make a statement like this, that is this long, this took 6 months to do. And it got, lawyers went into it. And for a company like Disney, that's just, what a waste of money. What a waste of time. What a waste of just
resources.
Everything. Yes. Oh my God, that's crazy. All right, here we go. I just put this in over on ChatGPT. It says, this is the generic one. The Walt Disney Company's timeless characters and captivating stories resonate across generations, celebrate the beauty of diversity and inclusivity. Through a rich tapestry of characters from various backgrounds and cultures, Disney inspires unity, empathy, and the belief that every individual, regardless of their differences, has a unique and valuable role in the journey of storytelling and imagination. It's almost like it's the exact same statement. I mean, that's
pretty spot on.
That is absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh. Arch, what have you done? You opened up the rabbit hole.
This is nuts.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's the thing. Like it's actually very simple when you think about it. They went to ESG because, well, it's a lot easier. Like, okay, you can get ESG investment money, and all you need to do is produce a bullshit statement and say, like, we're for diversity, equity, inclusion, blah, blah, blah. Or you can make a good movie. The former is significantly easier and pays better. So,
wow, this is just nuts. Absolutely crazy. And now I'm upset because I'm gonna have to go through and look at all this shit. Thanks, Arch. Appreciate that.
Yeah, research.
Oh my God. Lawihi came in with the $4.99. Thank you very much for the super chat there. St. G says, if Disney doesn't want to be on X, then try Threads. Yeah. Well,
no one uses Threads.
Not really working out very well.
You can't even delete Threads. You know that? Once you create a Threads on Instagram, it's there until you delete your actual Instagram account.
Really?
Isn't that shit? So people who test it out, like, what's all the fuss about? Let me see it. Oh, no, I don't like it. Oh, too bad. You're stuck with it forever.
The internet forgets nothing, for sure. Willizin came in and says, Arch, which language is the most insane? Swedish, Norwegian, or Finnish? As I understand it, it's Finnish, as they have whole words without vowels.
Yes, Finnish is the worst language because, interesting fact, theoretically, I speak 5 languages because Norwegians understand Danish and Swedish perfectly well. We have no issues understanding what they say whatsoever. They can't understand us. Nope. The Danes kind of can, and that's mostly because we've turned their entire nation into a vacation colony, but Swedes can't. But Finnish, nobody understands a shit what the Finnish say. Nobody. It's a crazy language that they made up. I'm pretty sure it's fake. As fake as Dutch at the very least.
It's fucking Dutch, man.
Fine
They're crazy.
words.
Zeech came in, says booth babes greater than e-thoughts. Also, Erebus did nothing wrong.
Erebus did a lot of things wrong.
Who's he?
Erebus is a very bad person.
Okay, understood.
Sounds good. All right, I want to remind you guys, if you're new, if you're watching for the first time, do us a favor, hit the subscribe button. We'd greatly appreciate that. Also, hit that thumbs up button. We are at 407 thumbs up. Our goal is always 300. We're past that goal, which is great. But let's see if we get 500. That'd be great. Just hit the thumbs up button and help the show just a little bit every single day, as this is your home for common sense, baby. All right, let's let's move on. Let's see. Do I have anything else? Oh, Nikki says, you missed my Rumble. I did not, Nikki. I want to get to it at the end, but I'll tell you, I'll do this right now. He says, what's your opinions on the goat man of Old Alton Bridge in Denton, Texas? Okay. Nikki will occasionally come in with various wives' tales or different, I don't know, things that you see or that have been talked about on the internet over time, whether it's like, I don't know, just lores and legends of fabled things. And I actually know what they're talking about, what Nikki's talking about right here. Old Alton Bridge in Denton, Texas is actually somewhere that I've been to. And there was a thing, there's this legend behind it called the Goat Man of Old Alton Bridge. I heard this legend growing up. I'm in the North Texas area, which is near where this is at. And their legend behind this is that there was more or less like human sacrifices being happening underneath this rickety old bridge. And if you came back at night, you'd see the Goat Man. And are there any lores or legends like this around where you live?
I live in no way. We have nothing but stuff like this. There was a farming plot that was in my extended family, for example, on my father's brother's side of the family, that was said to be near a portal to hell.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, here's the bridge. And by the way, like, this looks like this today. This is Old Altman's Bridge here. Goatman's Bridge is what it's called. Denton's Old Alton Bridge. And it is a piece of shit bridge, man. And it looks like this. Here's the thing. I actually went over this bridge as a kid when in like an old Suburban. And when we went over this bridge, all of this steel was not here. All the steel on the outside, it was just the wood. So I remember going over this bridge as a kid and my dad going like incredibly slow going over this bridge because there was no guard railing. Anyways, yeah, it's been around forever, since like the 1850s. And the idea of going to the Goat Man's Bridge in the middle of the night is like super, super spooky. Anyways, my thoughts on it, it's all bullshit, but it's a great little bit of lore, which is fun. So thank you, Nikki. Appreciate that. I can't believe Disney has an ESG page on it. That's fucking crazy. Sorry. All right, Arch, let's talk.
The Goat Man or Disney's ESG?
Right, man. That's a good question right there. All right, we got a few other super chats real quick. Fortnite, so I said Fortnite. For the Emperor came and says the Emperor protects. Definitely not Fortnite. Just kind of glanced down there. Thank you, For the Emperor. Appreciate that. And Unit says we didn't do nothing. Thank you. Appreciate that, Unit. All right. Thank you, Nikki, for having us go down that right there. So Nikki says, and that's why I asked Craig. And the Goat Man is all over the U.S. Thank you, Nikki. Appreciate that. Okay. Let's talk about you, Arch. You're a pretty fascinating guy. You have a channel called, well, you just find it over on YouTube, called at Arch YouTube, which is interesting. That is not what it always was. Is that correct?
Initially, it was just Art Warhammer, because I figured, like, okay, I'm going to do Warhammer, so it makes sense to mention that in the title of the channel.
Absolutely. Why did you
Games Workshop's lawyers disagreed?
Yeah, so did they come to you and say you need to change your YouTube name?
Yes, and this was specifically after members of a Reddit board by the name of Sig Marxism contacted them. The person who did so made a bragging thread on the board saying that he had called up their lawyers specifically with my name, etc., and sent multiple requests via bots as well, so to spam their email, essentially.
So it was one guy who made a fuss, made it seem like there was a bunch of people complaining about
it. Yes. And then they sent me the threats about legal procedures unless I removed the Warhammer. And at that point, I was genuinely very tempted to just say, like, no, you don't own the word Warhammer. Like, I don't care if you have a trademark. It's a common word, right? But they added in a part in the email saying that they would, if this was to go forward, they would go and strike anything with the mention of Warhammer on YouTube because they would claim Warhammer as a Games Workshop trademark fully on YouTube.
Wow.
The implicit threat there being like, okay, we're actually going to go after all Warhammer content if you fight us on this. And at that time, I still had relationships with a lot of other Warhammer YouTubers. And I'm like, okay, this is going to cause a lot of fucking troubles for everyone. So, okay, I'm not too attached to the one part of the name. Everyone knows me as Arch anyway, so fine, I'll change it. No skin off my back. I do regret that now because pretty much all of those Warhammer YouTubers then immediately decide like, oh, now Arch is dangerous to be around. Let's disavow him.
Right. So how long ago was this?
Oh, God. Good while. 3-4 years?
3-4 years? Okay. So they came in, they threatened you, they put their big old, lawyer dick on the table and said, hey, we're gonna come in. We're not just gonna hurt you, but we're gonna hurt your family and your friends. Right. That's kind of like the mob coming in, right? Why not just put a space in between it and say, well, like, hey, YouTube doesn't allow for spaces in the URLs, but it's just war space hammer or war_hammer. Suck it, bitches.
Yeah. I wish I'd thought about it, honestly. Because at the time, I was in a little bit of a panic mood as well. Because the first response was rage. Like, no, you don't own this. I know trademark laws in my country. I own Arch Warhammer trademark. I have that registered. Like, you can't then go like, yeah, but we own part of that. And that's not how that works.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that they would go after everyone was the one that gave me pause. And the thing is, too, they've demonstrated a willingness and an ability to do this later, where they went after Warhammer fan animations, where there was a very thriving and excellent community of fan animators for Warhammer, making Warhammer content on YouTube. Games Workshop went through every last one of them, sent them threatening emails saying, okay, either you wipe your online presence and give up everything. You cannot monetize this. You can't have it. You can't have Patreons. You can't have YouTubes. You can't have Googles, anything like that. Or we're going to sue you. Oh, and by the way, come work for us otherwise.
Wow. So
a lot of them did.
So it's kind of like holding the knife up to their neck and being like, hey, listen, you can either die or what is it? You can die or you can
slaves.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can come work for us, you bitches, right? Wow.
Yes.
That's insane to think about. What a bullying technique. An absolute bullying technique.
And I personally do believe that they did that in large parts because they saw how easy it was to go after me and how nobody stood up on my side. So they thought, okay, we can get away with this.
Wow. So Games Workshop, who is the company behind Warhammer, they came in. How big of a company is this? Give me like a appropriate size, approximate size.
Fairly sizable, like no Disney or anything like that. But we're still talking like $1 million profits, millions of pounds. They're a fairly sizable company.
Okay.
And they have demonstrated a long history of litigation in the past. They're a very litigious company.
Right.
They tried to copyright the words pauldron at one point.
Cauldron?
Pauldron, as in shoulder pads.
Okay. Oh, okay. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Holy moly, that's nuts. Well, they've done very well for themselves. Looking at their core revenue on their accounts for 2023, this company that's generating $500 million or £500 million annually. So, I mean, they're doing pretty damn good just from licensing, 25 million pounds. So they're doing pretty damn okay, which is why, when you have fan artwork and fan creations, it's amazing to see these companies. Nintendo's another one that anytime somebody creates anything using their IP, they swoop on in. They're like, no, can't do it. And they're extremely protective. And on one hand, I despise that. But with Nintendo, because I'm a Nintendo dork and I like Mario and all that shit, I'm like, well, they make a great product, so they got to be protective. But part of me really despises that for sure. It's like a slap in the face of the fans. So
the copyright around it needs a rework, in my opinion, because obviously in the olden days, if somebody was making something based on your thing, it was assumed that it would be something physical, something you could sell, right? And then in that case, you need to protect it because it's your trade secret. in this day and age, if somebody's making fan content of your product, that should be something you should actually embrace because it brings more people to your product. It is not harmful. It's not taking anything away from you. In fact, it is only additive to your product.
Right. There's actually nothing better that can be done from a promotional standpoint than to have your audience spread the word about your content. Right. We talk about that all, I said this about side scrollers. I want people taking clips of our show. I want people taking it and posting it on their channel and talking about things that we talk about, talking about our interview here, talking about, I think that's really important for the growth. And I encourage everybody to do that on your channels. The more you talk about us, the better it is, good or bad.
Absolutely.
And right now, people will talk about our show in a negative light, but I think there's a lot of good that comes from this channel and the show and stuff. So, it's a lot easier to talk about things negatively than it is positively. And, but I fully encourage everybody to go in and take the show. And from any content creator who doesn't look at it as sharing and promotion is doing it wrong for sure. So, okay, so you get this pressure, you change your name, but your channel continues to grow. You've seen a lot of success, creating the lore, and as the description says, this channel is primarily dedicated to lore, Warhammer 40K, fantasy, Starship Troopers. That's awesome. So you've seen a lot of success, but there's also been, a little bit of controversy around your channel, as you have not necessarily been accepted by the Warhammer community, or at least some members of the Warhammer community, which has ultimately led you to be more or less ostracized. Is that accurate?
Well, I was wildly accepted at first. I even had GW talking about me. As mentioned, Creative Assembly reached out, etc. But even back then, this was in the later stages of like Gamergate, right? And I remember catching up on that and looking at some of the things that was happening in gaming. And I thought to myself, okay, this is clearly a cultural movement that's beginning here. And since it's latching on to everything else, even then, heavy metal music, for example, it was spreading very quickly. I was looking at Games Workshop and thinking, okay, this is going to come here as well. So might as well start talking about it now and beginning to try and create a little bit of inoculation process. And that was very early on in it. And that did get me a lot of negative attention. Because if I just continued talking just about the lore, I would probably be more successful. But it's also the question of, okay, you're selling yourself down the river, because somebody has to take the stand against this. Somebody has to actually go, no, this will destroy the hobby, like it has done to Star Wars, like it has done to Marvel, like it has done to comics. This will destroy us. So do you take a stand against it? Or do you simply bury your head in the sand and go like, oh, well, I hope I'll get enough money out of it to live off afterwards?
Right. And so you decided to take a stand and start talking about it. And this goes back to, a tweet you had pretty recently where you were talking about gatekeeping. And I thought this was a really interesting tweet and something that we've talked about a lot on the channel. Just the idea of gatekeeping in a hobby as a whole. Some people say gatekeeping is like a real negative thing, but there has been value attached to actually, quote unquote, gatekeeping. First, let's start here. What is your definition of gatekeeping?
Well, it is simply attempting to maintain the structure of the thing. It's trying to keep Warhammer, keeping Star Wars, because all of these things are successful because of what they are. Star Wars is good because it's Star Wars, not despite it being Star Wars. And it is all about trying to maintain that culture, to build up a sense that, no, we like this thing. We'd actually like to keep it the thing we like. We don't want to change it, not for the wider audience and not for the success of boardroom suits.
Right. You want to keep the authenticity of what originally made it great. And
yes.
Right. So you had a tweet a couple days ago that was in response to, I don't know who Rad Hom is. It's a creator, I guess, somebody who's in the space, but they were talking about, this whole thing right here. It says, how is the hobby meant to grow when you're being such a, kind of think gatekeeper? Think it's meant to be like like a insult, right? And the thought of this is like, well, it's good. It's growing the audience. We want people to come in. We want people to experience all these, our fandom. And your response was this, and I'll let you read this in your own voice because I don't want to do it.
Before woke, there was no sign on the GW store. That's for Games Workshop.
Mm-hmm.
After woke, the new sign now reads, Warhammer is for everyone, but only if you agree. Our only mistake was not gatekeeping harder and earlier.
Right. And I thought this was really interesting because I've had tweets very similar to this, which have brought the wolves out. That were previously in sheep's clothing, that were really pissed at the idea of, hey, our hobby, our community, we're the most, the thing that pissed off a lot of people. This was a long time ago. I actually had a separate Twitter account before I just totally destroyed it. But I had a tweet that was more or less something to the effect of, you see all these gaming communities in the gaming space that are like, we're the most welcoming community on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think this way or you vote this way, you're not welcome in our community, which flies in the face of the entire thing here, right? So,
yes,
which people don't like. People don't like when you call them hypocrites to their face, and that's really where you get blowback. So.
There's also the fact that a lot of them do not recognize what they are doing as hypocrisy because they haven't thought far enough ahead what they're doing.
Right. So the response to your tweet was interesting, and I really appreciate how you handled some of the responses here. This person said, "Gatekeep me, bro," and your response I thought was very civil. Says, "Why are you trying to keep someone?" Well, once again, I will let you read these responses because I don't.
Why are you trying to keep someone from enjoying the hobby you so clearly love?
Right. And, here we are right here. And this person says it's kind of like Warhammer is for everyone who isn't going to be a dick about it, but go off, Queen. Ah, man, the Queen thing just drives me crazy. And your response here?
Correct. Warhammer is for anyone who wants to play or read or watch Warhammer content, regardless of gender, sexuality, race, or creed, but this must and was an absolute. Even the Nazi and the communist are welcome so long as all they do is play Warhammer.
I think that's like a really strong statement. The idea that hey, everybody's welcome as long as they just play. Just play the game,
It is that simple, because we're not talking about politics here. We're talking about Warhammer. So long as you can be in Warhammer and play Warhammer and want to have Warhammer remain Warhammer, I don't care what you are. Right.
And that's kind of one of the most amazing things about this whole thing is you see, God, I'm sorry, I just noticed this one as the response, which is just amazing. This person here who says, you got to be 18 and minors can F off, right? So this person is clearly selling some sort of imagery here. Surely Warhammer being open to all and anyone is a good thing. Certainly good for the hobby's longevity, at least.
Yeah, and it's open to anyone who wants to play. In my opinion, that should include anyone who does not agree with GW's politics.
Right, which is just such a fascinating, the fact that needs to be said. You should be able to play, even if you don't agree. It's all right. And doing a little bit of research prior to this, like I said, you have this reputation that follows you because you don't adhere to the general groupthink attached to this community.
I was one of the first nails to stand out, so to say. Mm-hmm. And thus I was also the one most heavily hammered for the obvious reason that I was the first to be a target for this.
Right.
It's also the fact that I have a spicy sense of humor. And that was not a good idea back then. I still isn't today.
Right. What is you can't have a sense of humor, period, today. Yes. So what I thought was really amazing is I searched Arch Warhammer on Google, and the first thing is your YouTube channel, and the second thing is a Reddit thread, and we've talked about this before. People will go and they'll talk all sorts of mad shit about you on Reddit or, on a show, but they won't actually come to you and say anything to your face. And I thought it'd be interesting to kind of go down this. I don't know if you've seen this Reddit thread before, but I wanted to. What's that?
Probably have.
Okay. Well, then I think it's important to ask the questions, and there's a lot of people making assumptions. So I want to ask these questions and see what you have to say about them. So the Reddit thread is: anyone know what happened to Arch Warhammer? Right? He says he was some weird Nazi dude trying to bring politics into Warhammer by being angry at Black Space Marines and other cringe opinions. So let's start here. Wow. Are you a weird Nazi dude?
Not as far as I'm aware, but by modern definitions, who knows?
Okay, sounds good. Sounds just curious. I think it's really, really important. Apparently, he's a huge bastard. At least he kept his bullshit political opinions separate from his lore content. Are you a huge bastard?
Oh yes, officially. Creative Assembly, the creators of Total War, made a video on their official stream where one of their co-hosts said Arch Warhammer is a dickhead. So I'll own that.
Well, there you go. Love that.
Wow.
Now, he says he got banned. Have you been banned?
Not that I'm aware of. I have a stream later today, so I hope not. That would be unfortunate.
He also says he was a fascist. Have you or at any point in your life been a fascist, Arch?
Well, if I was, apparently I've thought better of it, so that's good.
Okay, just curious. You are also an alt-right racist YouTuber.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is all true so far at this point?
See, I love the idea of the okay, granted this is 3 years ago, but
yes,
the alt-right's been dead for half a decade. Like they're not a relevant force anymore.
So it says the guy. Oh, so once again, just spelling. You are indeed not a Nazi, Arch. Is this correct?
No.
Okay, just making.
At least
sure.
That guy corrects him. I mean, is
he
was a Nazi. It's like is okay. Well, if that's the assertion.
Just curious. Now, this one down here says you're a racist. Are you a racist, Arch, at any point in your life?
I'm a remarkably inclusive one in that case.
I think that's amazing. That's the thing about when you see these grenades thrown from afar. People saying, he's this, he's that. And you're like, yeah, but here's my friend group, and like they don't think. It's amazing to see how this goes. And yeah, I granted this is Reddit. It is what it is, but.
It is Reddit, but I will also say this is the narrative of the left surrounding me. Because again, I was the first nail to stand out in this community, and so they all gathered around me specifically. I don't think there's any other YouTuber that has been targeted to quite this extent by anywhere close, really. And it is simply the fact that if you repeat a lie often enough, as is evident here, you will eventually make it become the truth. Despite the fact that you can look, I mean, everything I've done online is online. You can look through my entire catalog of everything and see I have never once argued for a fascist position. Or a Nazi one, incidentally. Right.
And it was pointed out in the chat that these words are thrown out so liberally today. The idea that, he's this, he's that. That I've said this on the show.
No meaning.
Right. I've said this on the show many, many times before, where there was a time not too long ago where all these words meant, specifically to my generation, they meant a lot, right? If you called somebody a racist, it was like, whoa, you stay away from that dude over there, right?
And that is exactly why they use them.
Right. And, at a certain point, it's gotten so watered down because people that aren't racist, aren't fascist, aren't homophobic, aren't whatever, they're just being called this. So it's the boy who cried wolf at this point. And it's just been said so many times that it's just insane. So, it's crazy to think. So what have you done anything to combat the narrative at all? You said there's this narrative around you.
Not a lot, honestly, because the lore channel is just lore channel. I used to do some commentary there and stuff, and I was definitely against the cultural influx into Warhammer. But I've never really bothered responding to any of this because how do you respond to you're a Nazi? Like, no.
Right.
It's like, shall I expand on the subject?
Right. And I think that's kind of why I thought it'd be important to ask you those questions, because when you say them out loud, you realize just how dumb it is.
Yes.
Right. It's like it's crazy to think, man.
I mean, to put an example to it, right? One thing that I find absolutely fascinating is that they'll say Nazi because that's like the easy one, like the hammer, right? Nazi, and then the ones who wants to sound clever, fascist.
Mhm.
You know, those are two different things.
Right.
Like,
right.
I don't think they do. Because there
No.
was also the long-standing narrative that 40K was a fascist setting, which it is not.
Do you
It is inherently right-wing, mind you. But,
yeah, Mick Camperson says just ignore the tourists and they'll go away eventually. I'm assuming that's just with, in any sort of hobby, right? You see these people that infiltrate, and just curious, people who are calling you these things, are they still around in this community?
oh, sure.
Okay.
I mean, less of them. The forum, Reddit Sigmarxism, which was one of the main hub of leftist activism in Warhammer, that's died off tremendously. Like, they've barely got 10, 20 people online these days, like maybe 50 max out of all of the people that were on it. Their cultural force has significantly diminished.
Do you see any blowback on social media on a regular basis? Like, do you have people, I don't know, just yelling at you for whatever reason because the cause?
A little bit, but
yeah,
little bit, but again, who cares? I guess.
Right. What do you? I don't know. What is it about? You've obviously seen a lot of blowback, from people who are, just yelling into the wind. Why do you stay in the community? Do you feel like you're?
It's mine.
It's mine. See, people are going to take that and they're going to go, he said it's mine. It's nobody else's.
It is. It is mine. Like, I have decided, no, I'm going to decide who gets to be in 40K. My rule is anyone who doesn't want to destroy 40K. Simple. And I'm then going to do whatever is in my power to do so.
Yeah, but what about growing it? You got to grow people, Arch. You got to grow the hobby. You got to, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to destroy it.
You can only grow something so long as it exists. And if you introduce people who don't like the thing and who want to change or destroy the thing, the hobby will no longer exist. And we see this with Star Wars and Marvel. I don't think anyone is going to look at Marvel or Star Wars today and go like, oh yeah, that's in a healthy place. Yeah, that growth was really good for it.
Right. It's funny. I look at, I was pulling up their annual reports. I mentioned that, the Games Workshop annual reports, and I look at their annual revenues from year to year, and they're going up, man. They're going up. They're up 100 million from the past year, and it's one of those things where they got to feel like they're doing something right. If
they are in many ways too. I Games Workshop is nowhere near as ideologically conquered as, for example, Disney. They will make some weird statements here and there, like disavowing their own setting, which they've done. But it is still mostly focused on the game. And this is in large part also because it's kind of difficult to infiltrate 40K because it is inherently a right-wing setting. It focuses on loyalty, honor, virtue. Ideas like care and removal of harm is non-existent in this universe, because if you try to do that, you're going to get eaten by space monsters. So it is very difficult to infiltrate. Well, plus, COVID was an enormous boost to Warhammer, because it is a collection hobby of lots of painting and gaming, and when everyone was locked in their houses, well...
Wow. So you said something that's really fascinating, as somebody who knows very little about this whole thing. You say they disavowed their whole setting.
Yes, they did that. They did.
What, how, why?
Let me see. If I can find the stating. Here we go. I'll put in the thing here. So This was an official statement they made back in November of 2021.
Okay.
So the Imperium is driven by hate. Warhammer is not. So in this, they actively disavow one of their most popular factions, which is the Imperium of Man and the Space Marines. And they do not give them credit here. Opening scene, for example. Its numberless legions of soldiers and zealots bludgeon their way across the galaxy, delivering death to anyone and anything that doesn't adhere to their blinkered view of purity. That is true for every faction. There is no faction in 40k that doesn't do that. And they say there are no goodies in Warhammer 40,000, especially not the Imperium of Man. So they're going like, oh, the Imperium of Man is especially bad. Why? The Tyranids just eat everyone. The Eldar, the Dark Eldar, gain sexual gratification by torturing people to death. Everyone in 40k is monstrous. And yet the Imperium of Man. Why is that special? Well, it's because people look at that and go like, well, is this fascism? No, but you wouldn't know that, would you?
It's crazy that the statement like this has to be made, and it really, they have to talk about it being a satire, for clarity. Satire is the use of they have to put a definition. This is what satire is. Game players of this. And if you look at the release of this, the talk of COVID, this was released in November of 2021, right?
Yep,
so
I believe so.
So 2 years ago, which, they saw this big boom. This is, during COVID still. Well, COVID is a thing in 2021 and, maybe towards the downside of it. But, they obviously saw an influx of new players and people who were, I mean, it's just crazy to think about how they saw this influx and they felt like they needed to make a statement and really just tell people what satire is.
They did, and they completely missed their own settings point. Like, there's one point where they point out that the Imperium is xenophobic, and that's like, oh, that's a bad thing. The worst of humanity, xenophobia. In 40k, if you're not xenophobic, you're dead, because the Xenos do actually want to kill you. They aren't fluffy, they're not friendly, they don't want to coexist. They actually either want to kill you, enslave you, or simply just eat you. Like, the Imperium of Man only exists because of xenophobia.
I think it's fascinating when you see a game that is built around conflict and you see people who have issues with conflict in the world, whether it's this world or a fictional world. The whole idea behind conflict is the idea that one team or one race or one country or one group of people will win and the other will lose and or die. Like, that's the whole idea of war, is to have a winner. And you see this overall statements in in society now of, there's this thought of, the United States, they came and they took the land from the Native Americans and it was their land. It's like, really? Well, they were fighting with each other, so it was clearly someone else's land before them and someone else's land before them. So how far back are we going to go? And before whatever country in Europe had this land, it was something else before then. So how far back do you want to go? And that a lot of that was triggered based off of conflict and war and death and violence. And people just want to bury their head in the sand when it comes to this stuff. And especially when it's just amazing to see how broken people are. It's crazy.
This is also, I want to point out, this is the reason why 40k will destroy itself if you allow anyone in. Because, again, this is inherently a right-wing kind of setting. It's war and conflict. And as you say, if people who don't understand what that means comes in, they go, well, this is bad. We need to change this. We can't have the bad people be winning. Like, we've got to change it. They can't be xenophobic anymore. Like, okay, but then the Imperium just dies. So, or you need to actually just break the law to try and quantify it. Because it is not a setting that actually caters to these beliefs on a fundamental level. And so the only way you could cater to those beliefs is by fundamentally changing the very nature of Warhammer, which will destroy it.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how all this is. That's the only thing I can say about this. Whether it's Warhammer, your favorite comic, your favorite video game, it's all being lumped in to this issue. And so many people are looking at this and being like, this isn't right. And why do you think shows like ours and yours, like, they see success? Because we're the ones saying, like, yeah, this is not what's happening here? We're just calling it like we see it.
Well, it's also the idea that you can see this in all of them, right? Take comics. That's perhaps the biggest and easiest example because comics are failing massively. Right. And it is because comics had a very clear and simple setting of rule and principles that everybody agreed on. It was heroes' stories, heroes against villains, right? Nice and simple. And obviously, you can have a lot of variations in that. You can have sympathetic villains. You can have a little bit of bad guy, good guys set. You can have complicated good guys, but it was the heroes and the villains. Then you started deconstructing that. And now it was about identity. And then it was about real-world politics. And then it's about girl power in the Marvels, for example. This isn't what I signed up for anymore. And then people look for something else, like manga. It's like, oh, simple stories about heroes and villains. Yay. I'm going to go do that instead. Because if you start deconstructing the fundament of a hobby, you're not going to have the hobby anymore. Like it literally is. I remember years ago, this was like late game again, where there was somebody who had the saying, have your cake and eat it too. And a bunch of feminists were like smirking like, I can have my cake and eat it because I'll eat it after I have it. Forgetting that, okay, but now your cake is gone because you ate it.
Right.
And it's really obvious, and yet they thought they were so clever because of it. It's the same thing here. If you destroy the hobby, where will the hobby be? Nowhere.
Living in a van down by the river. That's what it's going to be, which is crazy. Holy moly. Let's get to some of these super chats real quick. Robert Cesario says, one membership coming your way if you can say my name in a true Italian fashion. Robert Cesario.
That's pretty good.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Blabs is over here cringing because she knows how good of an Italian accent I have. Thank you, Robert.
That was terrible.
Shut up, Blabs. Lawihi came back. Thank you very much with the $4.99. Says, Blabs, tell Heath the biggin Lowry hi. I don't even know who that is.
Hello?
Sounds good.
I don't know who that is, but hello.
Hello, the biggon.
Hello, biggin.
Gary's Beard Crab says, FGW 3D printer go brr. Thank you, Gary. Yep. Hey, out of curiosity, what are your thoughts on wheelchair guy? This is not from Warhammer. Have you seen these guys?
Dungeons and Dragons ones.
Yes.
Have you seen
one? What are your thoughts on Dungeons and Dragons wheelchair guy? Just curious.
Again, it goes back to what I've been talking about, the fundamental setting. In Dungeons and Dragons, you have spells that can resurrect the fucking dead. You don't need to be in a wheelchair.
Yes.
You could just... There you go. You're not in a wheelchair anymore. So the only reason why you would put somebody in a wheelchair if somebody in real life goes like, no, my disability is my identity. Okay, yeah, but what are the odds somebody in Faerun would be like, oh, I love having my legs broken. I want to be like this. I want to stay like this, instead of seeking out the nearest clinic and go, please, could you fix this? I want to walk again.
The most fascinating thing about this whole thing, I showed this to my daughter, who's 11, and she was like, well, how are they going to move? Because this one they have their wheels, but she has
a mace and a shield.
She has a mace and a shield, so she has to put down her mace and or shield to push. But if she was to put down her shield, she would only turn one way. she could just turn around. So I don't know. There's just so much there. It's amazing. Yeah, I love it. Janice came in as a member for 14 months. Says, if you read the ESG/CSR documents and information for other giant corporations, they sound similar to Disney's. Thank you, Janice.
Because they're all competing for the same ESG money. And the ESG has the same requirements for getting that money. And so, like, basically, it's a test. Like, you've got a right answer, and each of the companies are going to give the right answer because they know what the answer is.
Mercenary came in and says, was a fan of Warhammer, only through text-to-speech. When it was taken out, I was done. I only have Star Fox left to be a fan of. Everything else is dead. Oh, Mercenary. Sorry to hear about your Star Fox fandom. Not going very well either. Easy came in and says, Arch was only racist when he took down Xenos.
Xenos deserves it.
Sal says, tourist, rune, hobby, and fandom. Thank you, Sal.
Absolutely.
Dog says, Space Marine 2 going to be next year, going to be game of the year.
Hope so.
Optimus Jedi says, Arch, when are we going to get another My Little Pony vid?
Next April, unless I do something else dumb for April's Fools.
Will and Through Life with Brian says, pathetic. They're trying to act inclusive, but I see right through it.
Well, there's the other aspect, because, okay, the argument is we need to grow the franchise by getting rid of the toxic people. Okay, so you're gatekeeping then. Like, no, but you want to get rid of that guy. Yeah, but he's bad. Yeah, okay, so you're gatekeeping him. No, okay.
Wait.
Hold on.
So
Let me
Arch, hold
thought
on.
this through.
You're telling me there's some hypocrisy in this thought process?
Yes, and they don't get it. They do not. They actually think, okay, we're the good guys, and we're just attacking the bad guys. What could be wrong with that?
That's
yeah,
right.
but from my perspective, you're the bad guys.
And by the way, all the bad guys will end up dead. We're gonna kill them. We're gonna get all the bad guys. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
Mercenary says, don't forget to breed Kibbs. He needs to be punished. Breed Kibbs? Who's
This is an in-joke in my community where
Okay.
my extraordinarily feminine friend is often reminded that he needs to be bred.
Oh, good.
He's
good.
a very submissive and breedable boy.
I love inside jokes that come into side scrollers, and I have no idea what we're talking about, which is great. Nikki came in over on Rumble, says, problem is you'll have people do stuff in bad faith that will damage the property. So they'll go after everything for a copyright reasons. He's speaking of Games Workshop going in and going in, people doing bad stuff to damage the property for sure. So, and
Yes, actually, a little funny side story. The reason
Sure.
why they started disavowing their own franchise was because of a tournament that was not kept officially by Games Workshop. It was a separate tournament about Warhammer 40k in Spain, where somebody thought, and this is a competitive tournament, prizes and everything. And people who play competitive at anything are going to try to win.
of course,
Surprise, surprise. And somebody thought to himself, okay, I could bring the most cancer army list possible, but I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to wear a t-shirt designed specifically to piss off my opposition. And that t-shirt, he registered himself for the competition under the name of the Austrian Painter.
okay.
And his t-shirt was a t-shirt with mottos from was it the Falangist in Spain, the Francoist party, the far-right fascist party that nobody ever talks about because the Allies didn't invade Spain and in fact allied with him afterwards. And so a lot of people didn't want to play against him and forfeited the game, meaning that he won the games. And that was why.
Okay, so he played mind games on everybody and just made everybody really uncomfortable, and they all quit. Okay, I don't know what is I've just Googled the Austrian Painter, and it's not what I expected. But,
No, wasn't it?
But either way,
There was a certain Austrian who had a budding career in painting, but he was refused from painting university, and that was a terrible idea for everyone involved.
Okay, sounds good. I will. I think I know what you're talking about. I'm pretty sure. With that said, man, it's crazy. Like, golly, when you come to like competitive things as well, the mind game aspect of it, like, so I grew up playing sports, and obviously I still play basketball, even like old man's league. And if you don't think that we're not talking the most brutal shit to each other, because so much of the game, there's a physical aspect of the game, then there's a mental aspect of the game. And if you can throw somebody off their game and they miss a free throw, miss a shot, whatever, or in your case, make a bad move or whatever it may be, then why would you not allow that? Especially if there's a prize up for grabs. If you're dealing with potential money, I mean, like, people will do the craziest things to win.
Yeah.
People are crazy competitive. So nuts, man. Hal says, I say Warhammer's always been political. Pretty sure the Tyranids were originally an allegory for woke culture.
I wish they were, but I think sadly they are just evil space monsters that want to eat everybody.
Jake BB came in with 100 bits over on Twitch. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And Christopher came in. Says, in life, war; in death, peace; in life, shame; in death, atonement. Death corpse of Krieg.
Yep.
Is it Krieg?
Cool, incidentally.
Death.
as in the Marine Corps.
Got it. Death Corps of Crete.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Let's get. There's so much I don't know about this, which is nuts. All right. Well, it's obvious that there is a lot going on in the Warhammer community, as there is in pretty much every other section of entertainment as things are right now. What is coming up for you in the foreseeable future? Do you have any? Obviously, you're doing your podcast. You got the main channel. What do you have coming up? Do you want to share with people?
Well, one of the most popular things I do is large lore series. The first one I did was War for Armageddon, and these are like massive conflicts within the setting. Then I did Vrax, which did very well. The lead video on that has 2 million views, I think.
Wow.
Then I did Badab, and I am doing the Sabbath Worlds Crusade up next, once I finish reading through all of the goddamn books. So that will be another one. And I spend literally thousands of dollars on custom-made artwork for these.
Wow.
Which YouTube hasn't slapped me for a copyright claim for yet, so I'm hoping I'll avoid that this time too.
That's awesome.
Because I am creating free content for Warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be the big thing. And we'll be moving on, of course, with all of the usual culture commentary stuff. Especially, it's more important now than ever because we are winning. We are absolutely winning. We are over the hump. Woke culture is on the retreat. And now it's just pushing the advantage, really, and making sure that this is a complete victory.
I think that's kind of you're right? The idea that we are winning, we're winning this thing and there is a retreat happening. And that's the most fascinating thing about this whole thing. It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, what's that? It looks like you have an Archcast coming up. Is it later today?
Yeah, I'll be streaming the Rogue Trader game, which is set in 40K.
Sounds good. Looking forward to that. Oh yeah, coming up. Yep, I see that right now. Awesome. Well, Arch, I appreciate you coming on today, man. This has been really fun. It's interesting to kind of see how all this stuff is happening in other communities that I'm not familiar with. And I encourage everyone to head over to Arch's YouTube channel. It's at Arch YouTube over on YouTube, obviously. And then there's the Archcast as well. So please go find him over there. Anything else you want to promote or talk about before we head out?
I think you've given me plenty of opportunity. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
For sure, man.
Very insightful on everything.
Yeah, this has been really, really fun.
With this stuff, so.
Yeah,
Very
great. Quick reminder, I'll be back here in just about, 6 hours or so. 6 hours, 5 hours and 45 minutes, as I'll be doing a Game Awards reaction stream tonight. So make sure you guys join me for that. It'll be on this channel, wherever it is you're watching, whether it's Rumble or YouTube or we won't be on Spotify, but we'll be on maybe even on Twitter, who knows, and Kick. So the Game Awards reaction stream, we'll see if that kid shows up again. And Matten.
Thanks, Bill Clinton.
Yeah, we'll see kind of what happens, which is great. So find me over there. We have one more super chat, or one more Rumble rant. Says Vault says, what makes war and conflict right wing? World War II, for example, was the communist, socialist, and NWO factions fighting. All leftist factions until the U.S. got involved. America. Thanks, Vault. Appreciate it. All right. Well, I'm going to see if I can create some sort of Game Awards bingo tonight. I will not be drinking. I refuse to do that. But I will definitely be doing some sort of bingo. So I appreciate you guys popping in. Once again, if you're new, do us a favor, hit the subscribe button. We're back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Time when we'll be joined by Melanie Mack, our usual Friday guest host, which will be awesome. And then on Monday, we have Razor Fist and Razor Fist Mondays, which is awesome. So Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Central Time. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. We appreciate you guys popping in. And remember, people are going to try to keep you down. Don't let them. You guys got a goal. Go get it. See you guys later. Have a great day.